Diary. Good afternoon. Although it isn't actually Thursday, November the 11th. Now I've just reviewed some of the videos that we made on the trip, and that one didn't come out, so we're giving it another go. I'll just review what happened on Thursday. Well, this was a day when we were supposed to be going around and looking at the Amish culture and religion in the neighbourhood. We'd stayed at a hotel in what's called Bird in Hand. Well, technically it said it was in Lancaster, but it was closer to Bird in Hand. And we'd already had a massive meal the night before at Smucker's Family Restaurant, and so it was a short step to the hotel where we stayed. And although very basic, the Red Roof Inn was what we needed. We got up and we saw in daylight the sort of sights that we'd driven through the previous evening when it was dark. It turned out we didn't really see very much more than the night before, but it was daylight, and we did appreciate the Amish farms, the look and smell, and also the great smell of the Amish farms, which percolated not only the farm areas but the actual towns like Bird in Hand and Intercourse. We walked around the Intercourse town a little bit to get a feel for it, and we tried to ignore all the sort of like chintzy sort of craft shops. So after that we decided we'd drive into the town of Lancaster, because there's a visitor centre there, and that should have some more information regarding the Amish and their culture and religion. It was a bit average, to be honest. I think the visitor centre wasn't quite what we'd hoped for, but nevertheless we wished them well, and we made a little donation, and we hope that it gets better, shall we say. So we did that, and then it was time to sort of move on. Now, as we were going towards DC, we went through an intersection junction. I think it was in the town of York, and a guy shouted out, "Harley Davidson," and it turns out there was a big Harley Davidson sign, so we drove towards it, and not only was there a big sign, there was also a visitor centre and a Harley Davidson motorcycle factory there. So guess what? They also did factory tours, and our little engineering islets lit up, and we were on an hour-plus tour of the factory floor. It was just fantastic. There was a nice lady called Ethel who showed us around, and we saw all aspects of the production line, and things like the hot and cold presses, the parts bins, the actual line itself, which is a mixed bike line. And yeah, we got a fantastic tour. It confirmed my suspicions, which is that Harley Davidson is a traditionally simple and heavy American motorcycle. It doesn't really compete in the same space as Japanese lightweight sports bikes, which were much more my passion, and I think would continue to be should I start biking again. But it was a great experience. It really made the day. I think if we were at all enthusiastic about Harleys, we would have been walking out with our, a checkbook or credit card in hand, and that would be some checkbook, because some of these modern Harleys, and probably the pinnacle are the trikes or the boomers, go up to about $30,000 US. Anyway, great time. Quite a few photographs of the different bikes. No photographs inside the factory because they disallowed cameras. So yeah, that really made the day. So then it was time to carry on down. We then arrived in Washington DC, handed back the Cadillac STS to a completely uninterested Hertz operative who didn't check the car, didn't check it was full of fuel, didn't notice that we cleaned it, kept it in good condition. But we did like the Cadillac STS. I still don't think it compares with European sedans or saloons, let's say. I think you could just do much better to just buy a BMW 5 Series than the Cadillac. But we wanted to experience the pinnacle of American motoring. Although subsequently we've been told the Lincoln Town Car was the thing to go for. So with that done, we checked into our hotel, Washington Plaza, and then it was time to go out. and we did rather want to drink something, and the first wine bar that we got to, we were a little shocked when Agatha was quizzed for her ID. Now initially it was a bit of a compliment, but then when we found out we couldn't have a drink, it turned out to be not quite so much of a compliment, and so we decided we'd have to get back to the hotel room to get her ID, and that's where we found and made use of the capital share bike scheme. Now this is a scheme very similar to the London scheme, and I have to wonder who copied who, whereby you can either be a yearly member, or in our case a daily member, by putting a deposit onto your credit or debit card at an unmanned machine, which unlocks one or more bikes, two in our case, and then for a small fee you can have an hourly rental, additional fee. So that's what we did. We picked up 2 bicycles, cycled back to the hotel, picked up the ID, and then cycled back past that pickup point to any other pickup point, in our case one that was closer to our final destination, which was Georgetown. And we had thought we were going to use these bicycles the following day, but it turned out they weren't ideally located and we didn't have a lock, so for the following day we didn't use them, but for that day we did. Ended up in the great Georgetown shopping area, had a big American traditional ribs dinner, fantastic. So at the end of another great day, and a bit of a surprise with the Harley exhibit, so fantastic.